Hiya, Sophie here with a Sims 4 PS4 video. Today I'll be continuing on the retail centre build. So this is part 2, which is a dress shop. So this is supposed to be, I guess, a kind of fancy formal shop. Not a bridal shop. I don't know if anywhere exists like this in reality that I can think of. There's maybe like high street brands that have similar kind of nice quote unquote clothes than high street brands. So yeah, I don't know, this is just supposed to be like a kind of formal fancy dress shop, which was initially why I picked like the pink and almost like French look of the windows and the awning. Eventually I just felt it was maybe a little bit too feminine. And then I found this like Art Deco kind of beautiful light, and I just wanted to bring a bit more style to the shop. And I chose out these wardrobes, which obviously act as wardrobes, not as displays, just because they do actually look like displays in a shop, because there are so many shoes and clothing pieces hanging from them, which come from like this living fancy pack, which I guess is supposed to be like rich people who own lots of shoes. So then yeah, I changed my mind on the colours and I tried to go for like a kind of softer navy blue, and then I was looking for the wallpaper or like a wall design, and just thought that this one was a little bit too fancy, so I tried to bring it down and mute it with another brick wall and the softer blue colour, just because I thought that it started to look a little bit too rich and fancy for an accessible kind of clothing shop, which is what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be a more welcoming vibe to the whole thing. And then the colours kept changing again as I was picking out like display tables and pedestals and stuff. So like with the other build, I was trying to find one to put the mannequins on, and that white one really fit what I wanted. So then I ended up changing the displays colour yet again. But as we know from the last build, the pedestal is not going to stay there because the Sims can't interact with the mannequins for some bizarre reason. I liked the placement that I put of them in the middle and putting the counter on the opposite side of the room. It freed up a lot of space to put a lot more of the wardrobes together. So here I start to play around with the layout of the displays, because I just wanted to kind of separate each area into distinctive items for sale. So the back wall with all the shoes and clothes, I just liked the way the displays kind of melded together and created that one wall. And I wanted a place to put some artwork as well to make it feel a little bit more contemporary and interesting, with the abstract art mixing with the more fancy looking kind of furniture. I added in a couple of chairs because if you're a clothing shop that doesn't have chairs, then what are you really doing? Especially if you sell shoes. I mean, come on. Lighting for this one, I found it really hard to find that mix of fancy and accessible. I started putting these ones in that were the same as the other build, just because they give like good white light, which I think is important in a dressing room, rather than light that's going to distort the colours of what you're trying on. But yeah, just trying to find the right kind of mix here was insanely difficult for some reason. And a lot of the lights don't give off a lot of light. Like that one there just gives those little bits of shape. So it took a while to figure out what to do with the lighting in this shop. So here I'm doing this little hack where I'm putting some strip lighting in the display cases or wardrobes. It doesn't usually work unless you have the enabled cheats, but it just makes the wall light up a little bit and mimics that kind of shop feeling of having the displays all lit up. And then I kept putting these little strip lights around the room. At first I thought they wouldn't really look right, but I mean, I quite like just that mix. It makes it feel a little bit more down to earth, but let me know what you think if you don't agree. And then here I'm playing with the mannequins again, just trying to find the right kind of like aesthetic for the shop. I wanted them to be a little bit more plain than the distinctive features that I'd picked beforehand, and I chose like a light blue to fit the colours of the walls and everything. And then I was deciding what to sell in the shop and put on the displays, which was a lot easier than the last shop, because it just felt like it was clear that this one would sell something more kind of like toiletries and candles and just like nice home things, little things that potentially even would be part of the store's brand. Like they'd have brand name stuff, or it would fit in with their overall kind of stock. And then I took out the industrial looking display case just because it didn't really fit with everything else, and I didn't really mind just having this little corner of things to sell. And instead what I did with the opposite corner is I put in a sale rack, which is similar to what I did in the last store too. Just a kind of discount corner of the shop. And I tried to do this little shoe rack, which I wanted to go up the wall. It doesn't quite work just because you can see the wheels on the one that's hanging from the wall, but from far away it kind of does the job, so I don't really mind it that much. And then the last bits of decor I wanted to put in, I wanted to keep it very simple and clean, because it's not a very cluttered place, but you gotta have some flowers and you gotta have some plants in places like this. So we're going into the reveal here. I'm just putting in some sound boxes. I can't remember what music I actually used in the end, but something nice and calming, I guess. So here is the actual store and people just browsing and trying on the clothes. I think it looks quite nice, and I chose to make the outfits more bold and stand out from the rest of the shop to give it character. And I also like the way that the outfits and the like artwork on the wall kind of match each other in the abstract and colourful looks. I ended up changing around two of the mannequins just because the gameplay wasn't working for some reason, and changing this dress just to something a bit more lively and colourful. So that's it for this build. Stay tuned for part 3 when we do the bookshop. Thanks for watching, and bye bye for now.